Would Jook Munroe please come up? Jook Munroe, ladies and gentlemen, was born in Reserve Mines, a tiny corner of Cape Breton, which must produce guys with funny nicknames because it also produced Skip Ferguson, a previously inducted member to this hallowed hall who was also the son of a coal miner. Jook was born on December 4th, 1933, in the middle of the Depression. He has since that time lived in Amherst, Moncton, and New Glasgow. He never had the opportunity to play junior golf, but was one of those guys the rest of us love to hate, an overnight wonder in the game of golf. In 1954, at the age of 21, he joined the Willingdon Country Club in Sydney. It took him till the following year before he won the club championship for the first time. And yet another month before he was able to capture the Nova Scotia Amateur Championship, which was held at his home course. He won the Willingdon Championship again, 57-58, before moving from Cape Breton. If anyone questions the passion with which Jook and his golfing buddies took the game, they need only hear about the time he and Hal Hunter were busy swapping golf stories while en route from Abercrombie to play at a Truro tournament. When they pulled into the golf course, they realized they were at Old Ashburn, 60 miles from their intended destination. Sometimes the passion with which they played resulted in more than inconvenience. Playing with his regular foursome of Bill Kewen, Bill Push Fautier, and Bill Hicks one time, Push missed a putt, after which he threw the guilty putter up in a tree. After the laughter slowed down, Bill Hicks shook the tree in an attempt to retrieve the offending putter, only to get it in the face, resulting in 6 stitches. This was not a boring group to watch. While still in amateur golf, Jook Munroe won the Abercrombie Invitational, the Truro Invitational, the Cape Breton's Highland Invitational, the Seaview Invitational, and the Willingdon Invitational. He won some of these annual tournaments on repeated occasions. He was also a member of both the 2- and 4-ball championship teams, which won throughout the Maritime provinces. In 56 and 58, he won the Maritime Amateur Championship. Later in 1958, he turned pro so that he could afford to further his education. He became the club professional at Abercrombie in 1968. During the time he was a pro, he became known as a great golf teacher. He doesn't seem to be as patient in his later years. Recently, a young man asked Jook to analyze his swing. After watching a few errant shots, Jook asked him if he owned the clubs he was using. The guy said, "No, I borrowed them." He said, "Well, give them back and try some other sport." During his university years, he was the best student golfer in the Maritimes. He earned his letter as the star of the St. FX golf team, where he received both his Bachelor of Commerce degree and his teaching certificate. In the 6 Nova Scotia Open Championships in which he competed, he won first as an amateur in 57, then as a pro in 59, 60, and 63, coming second and third in 1961 and 62. Nova Scotians have a way, however, of never putting local heroes on too high a pedestal. At Willingdon one year, Jook's hat blew off. When he bent over to pick up his ball, someone hollered, "Hey, Jook, someone hit a sand wedge off your head." Jook Munroe has represented Nova Scotia in national competition on 7 occasions, 3 times on the Willingdon Cup team and 4 times in senior nationals. He was also the only maritime golfer to compete in the Carling International the year it was held in Toronto. While competing as a pro, he won the Atlantic PGA Championship 7 times at Ashburn, Amherst, Gowan Bray, Green Gables, Kenwo, and Westfield, 5 of these titles having been won in succession. It's impossible to list all his victories because of time, but suffice it to say that in 1966 alone, Jook Munroe, ladies and gentlemen, won 6 of the 7 Open Championships he entered. In 1986, he retired from pro golf to commit himself to educating youth. Because he'd been a club pro for 25 years, he had to wait until 1991 before he could be reinstated as an amateur. The fact that he hadn't played competitive golf in half a decade didn't seem to faze him. He entered the Northumberland Invitational to get his feet wet once again, and he got them wet by walking through the damp grass up to the podium to get the first place medal. In 1992, his first full season back in amateur golf, he came first or second in 9 golf tournaments and was the lowest of all the Atlantic Canada golfers who entered the Canadian Senior Championships in Kamloops, BC. He won 6 more tournaments that we're aware of in 1993 and was the provincial senior champion, winning that down in Greenwood. He's continued winning in recent years, winning the newly initiated Abercrombie Senior, both 95 and 96, and last year winning the Abercrombie Club Championship and the senior division of the Truro Invitational before representing the province in the National Seniors Championships in Quebec. Over the years, Jook Munroe has been wined, dined, and feted. He won the Atlantic Professional Golfer of the Year Award, the Corby Distillers Golfer of the Year Award. He received a life membership from the Spring Hill Golf Club, and he's been declared Golfer of the Year by the Nova Scotia Golf Association. It's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to present to you a man who's won over 100 golf tournaments, a guy who's assisted in the redesigning of several golf courses in the Maritimes, a man who was the architect for both the Spring Hill and Belmont courses, a man who owns 7 competitive course records, including a 65 at Moncton and a 64 at Moncton 7Cs in 1968 on the final day to win a tournament. A man who has spent countless hours in volunteer work helping junior golfers. A man who is 4 times president of the Atlantic Professional Golf Association. A man to whom every Nova Scotian who's ever taken a whack at a golf ball owes a great deal. Mr. John Jook Munroe.
I'll ask Pam Noss, Promotions Manager of the Chronicle Herald and Mail Star, if she would join us on stage for the presentation, please. Howard Jook. Good to see you again. 21 years old before you started playing the game. You grew up in the shadow of the Willingdon Golf and Country Club. What kept you? What held you on?
There wasn't too many coal miners' sons playing golf. That was just a matter of money, I believe. Really.
Yeah. By 1959, you were a pro.
Yes, I only played 3 or 4 years of amateur, and then the opportunity came to turn pro, so I thought that was it. I thought I'd better try it.
Okay, you won over 100 championships, 100 tournaments, an enormous, more than any other Nova Scotian, by the way. So there must be one, probably. There are a lot of them, but is there one that is very special?
I would have to think perhaps the one when in 1993 I had been out of golf series competition for 5 years, and I was wondering if I was ever going to win when I'd come back, and in 93 I won the Nova Scotia Senior. I think that's the one.
This is the one that is that you'll remember most well.
Yes.
Great. Jook, congratulations, a tremendous career. You're still playing?
Yes, we're still playing a lot. In fact, we played 4 times this week, if you could believe that. and
that's about as much as you can play. Arnie Patterson's the only guy I know plays 7 days.
Ernie plays a lot, yes. I tell you, probably where I was most lucky was
in your younger years?
To have such a...
That's all right. Let's help Jook here.
I have such a wonderful mother and father.
Yes.
And wife.
And they all supported you tremendously. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Jook Munroe.